This is Annie Scogan, and I'm one of the co-hosts of Head Over Heels Pageant Talk, and I want to thank you for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media.
What's up, everybody? This is Christian Heimel, host of Press Row here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my show, Press Row, where we talk about the biggest issues in sports with the analysts, experts, and reporters who cover them. No nonsense, hard-hitting interviews on the sports topics you're talking about. A new show comes out every single Thursday. And don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you never miss an episode of Press Row. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Wars have waged, blood has been shed, two sides pinned up against each other, one prevails in glorious victory, while the other falls into the abyss of defeat. Who shall prevail? Great battles have been a mainstay in contemporary society. Sparta versus the Persians, North versus South, Trump versus Hillary. But perhaps the most important battle to divide those across the world is Marvel or DC? Chat rooms rage. You're just a Marvel fanboy. Iron Man 3 is terrible and you won't even admit it. Are you kidding me? Can you say that while defending Man of Steel? The direction is all over the place. You didn't understand. It was a modern epic of gods and legends. Well, yeah, if you mean it was epically bad and the acting was legendarily awful. It seems like today you have to pick a side. No one will settle for the rational answer of, they're both pretty good, which they are. But if I had to choose, I think Marvel has done a better job? Oh. Okay, wow. That's funny. I was expecting some backlash. Oh my goodness. Really? Well, okay, fine. Oh, come on. But seriously, though they have their ups and downs, I really enjoy all of the DCEU films. Besides one. But we'll get to that later. So to celebrate all of the DC heroes coming together, this week we discuss every single DCEU movie, as well as my review for Justice League. So as Heath Ledger's Joker once said, and here we go. And as Christian Bale's Batman once said, swear to me. That doesn't really apply here, but we're gonna stick with it. My name is Sam Kirby with Public House Media, and welcome to the next episode of Cinema Stories with Sam Kirby, the show where we get heroic, talking movie and TV news and reviews. So let's not waste time jokering around. We've got puns, as we briefly discuss all of the films in the DCEU, as well as Justice League. First, let's start off with Man of Steel. Now, I love DC Comics. I think that their stories are far more interesting and their characters are far stronger than Marvel's. The Dark Knight trilogy is my second favorite movie trilogy of all time. Now, in 2013, I heard that Man of Steel was going to start a new DC universe, just like Marvel had done. Even though Christopher Nolan was set to produce, I never was really interested in Superman. I know. Again, with the tomatoes. I first saw Man of Steel about 2 years ago, and it's probably my favorite film in the DCEU. Man of Steel struggles with its pacing, with constant jumps into the past and the present. Now, time jumps can work, but the editing isn't great, causing a bit of a sloppy feeling. There's blatant product placement, and Michael Shannon is a bit hammy-azad, but those are really my only gripes with the film. I think Henry Cavill embodies Superman. He's a little dark, but they're not going for the fluffy Christopher Reeve Superman. He has the struggles that Superman would actually have. The sequence on Krypton is visually brilliant and otherworldly. Besides Shannon's hamminess, I will find him. The rest of the cast is really strong, especially Clark Kent's fathers, played by Russell Crowe and Kevin Costner. Clark is torn between their two beliefs, but he has to go on his own and become a hero on his own terms. Although it's not executed greatly, Man of Steel is a film that presents an interesting perspective on the Superman complex. With jaw-dropping effects, a hero with boatloads of potential, an amazing cast, and Zack Snyder's signature aesthetic, Man of Steel remains one of the strongest offerings from the DC Extended Universe. Now let's move on to the critically divisive Batman vs. Superman, Dawn of Justice. Now, my hype was very high for this film. The movie came out the same day that I got my driver's license. So yeah, I was ready to drive me and my friend to see BVS opening night. We hit a bit of a bump when we ran into a massive snowstorm. Always fun. Now, the theater's about 20 minutes from my house, and it took us about an hour to get there. But who cares? We're about to see Batman and Superman fight. And was the wait worth it? Yeah? Now, BVS, the theatrical cut, is a mess, with choppy editing, unfulfilled story beats, and barely any Superman. I wasn't surprised to hear that a director's cut was announced. Now, the director's cut fixes many of these problems. A lot of the editing feels more natural, plot points are more fleshed out, and there's more Superman in a Superman movie. Who would have thought? Though the final cut is a step up, there are looming issues with the film. There are a lot of weak character motivations. Batman's is set up well, but both of the heroes' reasons for hating each other are a bit hypocritical. Lex Luthor is basically Jesse Eisenberg playing the Joker with a strange god complex, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of interesting. But the third act is so overstuffed, with Batman fighting Superman, the introduction of the infamous Doomsday, Wonder Woman, the Martha reconciliation, which is very rushed and unbelievable, and the death of Superman. All that being said, Ben Affleck is one of the greatest incarnations of Batman that we have. Gal Gadot was fierce in her first attempt at Wonder Woman. I really enjoyed the dark tone in this film as well. Batman v Superman is filled to the brim with problems. It's not a great film and suffers from an overstuffed plot, weak character motivation, and a weak incarnation of Lex Luthor. But the positive aspects of the film make it a mildly enjoyable watch. And it made me excited for what's next. And what came next? Hold my jewelry. Let's talk about Suicide Squad. If there's one thing that my closest pals know about me, it's that my favorite song of all time is Bohemian Rhapsody. I listen to Rhapsody at least once a car ride a day on my way to school. You cannot hold me down. When the Bohemian Rhapsody trailer for Suicide Squad came out, I'd run down the hallways. Did you see that trailer? Jared Leto's weird Joker laugh, Harley Quinn? I mean, I don't know anything about the villain, but it'll be great. Will Smith, right? Right? Me and my best friend in the world, a huge Dark Knight fan, dressed up in purple shirts and ties, and went to the theater. The movie played, the credits rolled, and I thought, what did I just watch? I meant it was okay? I'm sure it's better than that. Let's watch it again. That movie was terrible. I'm not saying it's bad if you like this movie. I can see why. There's cool music, some neat visuals, but for me, no, I do not like Suicide Squad. It's one of the most mediocrely made films I've ever seen, and easily the DCEU's greatest failure. Now, Will Smith's Deadshot is the most fleshed out, and easily the coolest character in the movie. Harley Quinn was really entertaining. She had her own interesting thing going on. Jai Courtney was okay. I'm reaching for straws here. In my opinion, Suicide Squad is a jumbled mess, and it's exactly what you'd expect if you hired a quality director to make a film, have a trailer company re-edit it because the original cut was too original, and then instead of going with either or, mushing them together. That happened. It has good music, but then you realize it's only there to amuse and distract from the fact that nothing's going on. I honestly think that the production of this movie makes me more mad than the actual movie itself. Suicide Squad is all over the place, with a laughably lazy plot, a weak villain, characters with no depth or conviction, weak special effects which just leaves you with an overwhelming feeling of meh. At least we'll always have the trailer and Queen. Now let's talk about Wonder Woman. With a positive start, then mild failures with BVS and Suicide Squad. Can you please stop? Me? Yeah, you. It's really annoying. It is? Yes, you're being very annoying. Okay, I'll stop. Thank you. For many, Wonder Woman would either break or make the DCEU. And fortunately, the film gave the universe new life. Many hailed Wonder Woman to be one of the best of 2017, and it's a solid flick, though it's not perfect. It borrows a lot of story beats from other films, especially Captain America 1. What gives Wonder Woman life is Gal Gadot as the hopeful hero and the camaraderie between characters. In a cinematic world with dour heroes, seeing Gadot as an innocent, good-hearted person is refreshing. The entire cast is great, even though Gadot stands out. The third act struggles a little bit, and the twist doesn't seem too earned, but Wonder Woman is still an awesome watch. Overhyped? Yeah. A bit derivative? Sure. But that's not the takeaway. Wonder Woman presents a long-awaited superhero with style, containing interesting characters, strong camaraderie between them, and an interesting view on humanity. Patty Jenkins takes a step in the right direction with Wonder Woman.
And now it's the time you've all been waiting for. Drum roll, please! Thank you, Final Cut Pro. This is my review for Justice League. Now I think anyone, me, you, George Clooney with a bad credit card, anyone can review a movie by analyzing 5 key aspects of filmmaking: the plot, direction and cinematography, character and performance. Now let's talk about that plot. The story picks up sometime after Batman vs. Superman left off. After a brief encounter with a parademon, one of the weird creatures Batman saw in his fever dream during BVS, he assembles the Justice League, Wonder Woman, the Flash, Cyborg, and Aquaman to stop the powerful Steppenwolf from conquering the world with 3 mother boxes. Now, the tone of this movie is a lot lighter than the previous other films in the DCEU. It's very reminiscent of what Marvel has going for it. And some people will like it, some people will be very turned off by that. And it's not really a surprise to see because director Joss Whedon took over after Zack Snyder departed from the film. And a lot of story beats from Justice League are very similar to that of The Avengers, another Joss Whedon film. Attempting to spoil as little as possible, I'm going to give you a brief rundown of all the similarities I found between the two films. 2 members associated with the teams, a male and a female, will attempt to recruit members for the team. At a low point in the movie, the strongest hero will turn against the team and flee, only to return halfway through the final battle with a clever quip. The teams will squabble during the second act, bringing up personal shortcomings, only to make amends for the final fight. The villain, attempting to bring an alien invasion, will use the fight to advance their agendas. The film will end with a brief montage of the heroes separating with soaring music and promise that they will return. A lot of plot points are rehashes from the Avengers and pretty basic. A bit easy, but refreshing after the convoluted Batman vs. Superman. The direction of this film is a little mixed. The film carries a lighthearted tone with obvious trademarks from Joss Whedon sprinkled in. It's not always coherent, but the contrasting styles of Snyder and Whedon are strange and definitely interesting to watch. The cinematography was really well done. Snyder knows how to compose a shot, and the opening and closing montages were really great to see. They told a story while being really pretty to look at. In my opinion, Zack Snyder's best work ever was during a montage in his Watchmen movie. Taking inspiration from there, Zack Snyder's eye for composition really shines. The effects, on the other hand, are really hit or miss. Some are very believable, but a lot are just not up to par with what we've seen previously. This is especially apparent in the villain Steppenwolf. He looks less believable than a character from Moana. The direction is cluttered but entertaining. The cinematography is well done, yet the effects are poor. What's very strong about Justice League are the character interactions and performances. Batman and Wonder Woman's arcs are the most fleshed out. Wonder Woman, played by Gal Gadot, is the shining light of Justice League. She's so likable as the kind-hearted hero. Ben Affleck is solid as Batman. His arc and his return to the role are very welcome. Ezra Miller is hilarious as the Flash. Jason Momoa as Aquaman is a bit one note, but he's still fun to watch. Ray Fisher as Cyborg is a surprising standout. Now, there's not much meat to the characters here, but all of their interactions are just so enjoyable to watch. These are our childhood heroes, and it's so cool watching them interact. The villain is serviceable, his motivation is pretty poor, and he's your basic run-of-the-mill bad guy. As many of you know, it's no secret, Superman is in the flick. He's a bit awkward at first, but as the film progressed, the way he acted was reminiscent of the old Superman. Henry Cavill is having a blast here, and he really just owns Superman as of this point. Overall, Justice League's a lot of fun. The plot is cut and dry, and the villain is really poor. Some of the effects are very poor as well, but the characters and actors make Justice League an easy, enjoyable, yet admittedly inconsequential 2 hours. I'd give Justice League 3 out of 5. Finally stepping away from DC Comics and entering the world of movie and TV news, let's talk today's cinema stories. Variety reports Disney's plans for an upcoming Prince Charming film. Steven Chbosky is rumored to direct, his works including the latest film, Wonder, and his adaptations of The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Perks is a terrific coming-of-age story, and it'll be interesting to see what Chbosky can bring to this seemingly bland premise. On November 15th, 20th Century Fox released a teaser for Deadpool 2. As profane as the first film, the teaser portrays the titular hero as Bob Ross painting. As a major Bob Ross fan, I can say I'm excited for the flick. Deadpool 2 will paint its way to theaters this summer. Now after all that, I better go ahead and flash on out of here. We've got puns! Now I want to thank everyone who tuned in to our DCEU extravaganza today. If you like the show, please go ahead and download. If you didn't like the show and you hate my opinions, please download. Come on, you know you want to. Alright, well I really appreciate all of the love and support I've gotten so far. Thanks to Public House Media for having me and letting me do what I love, talking movies. If you want to talk about the Justice League, or you're just looking for a heroic guy to follow, hit me up at Samuel_J_Kirby on Twitter, or SamKirby17 on Instagram. Make sure to like Public House Media's Facebook page and tune into their other heroic content. A special thanks to Komiku and We Ashore for the music choices today. Now, it wasn't a great film, it probably wasn't even a good film, but I really enjoyed Justice League. So whether you're like Marvel or you like DC, I guess it doesn't really matter. Take in other people's opinions, but remember to keep doing what you love doing and keep watching what you love watching. Don't act like the trolls on the message boards, act like the heroes you see on the screen. And as David Bowie once said, we can be heroes if just for today. Bye!